participating in a tradition that we have been holding here for over 100 years, and reflects a long-term collaboration between the USDA and New Mexico State University. The Jornada Experimental Range was established 107 years ago, an area of 301 square miles that was withdrawn for primarily rangeland research in 1912. We used to have our primary office right across the road here in the Turney House, which was the ranch headquarters for Charles Turney. We've got some great old pictures when the staff was entirely housed within this office. Now that is just the ranch staff office quarters there. And in 2002, we moved into Wooten Hall on the campus of New Mexico State University. Many of you have been there, some of you have not. This is a 29,000 square foot facility. Why are we here? Our mission is to conduct long-term collaborative research and deliver knowledge to sustain agriculture alongside other land uses in rangelands. And at the core of this mission is the concept of sustainability, where sustainability is defined, and I think this is a really good definition for an often murky term, the reconciliation of human development goals with environmental limits. What are those sustainability challenges as we currently understand them? High and increasing variability in climate, in particular hotter droughts, is one of the ecological conditions that define our sustainability problem at the present time. Permanently altered vegetation and ecosystem processes. We're engaging in restoration, but a lot of these areas of the Jornada are on a new trajectory that we have to understand and manage. Recognize important spatial variations that affect ongoing vegetation change, its effects on agriculture, and how to manage change. We also understand the sustainability crisis of the current time in social terms as well. So our program has evolved around these concerns and are reflected in these 6 programs. Long-term ecological and restoration research, land assessment and monitoring, there in the top green bubble, predictive analytics and web and mobile tools to synthesize a lot of the long-term data we produced and produce new information products, inquiry-based science education, climate adaptation in the Southwest, and our focus for today, arid lands beef production. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on each of these 6 programs, and it's important to recognize that you guys are what are linking all of these programs together. Our stakeholder collaborators, as well as the science networks, such as the LTER and the Long-Term Agro-Ecosystem Research Network that allow us to function. So the first program is the Jornada Basin Long-Term Ecological Research Program. This is a National Science Foundation funded program that was initiated in 1982 that takes advantage of long-term data collection that we've been gathering since 1915, and there are over 500 documented studies associated with this program that have taken place on the Jornada. So we have 500 studies and all the data associated with each of those studies to give you an idea of the magnitude of information that we're dealing with. With regard to land assessment, monitoring and interpretation, we have a number of programs. This map in the upper left-hand corner is the distribution of monitoring plots that are using standardized methods that were developed here at the Jornada. There's 50,000 plots across the United States that are using standardized methods. These methods in turn are the basis for extending information through modeling efforts, using these data points, for example, to estimate wind erosion across the United States is one of our programs. We are also working with NRCS on developing ecological site descriptions and a database to house that information across the U.S. as a basis for interpreting monitoring data. And we're also looking at new technologies such as phenocams, basically measuring the greenness of vegetation at sites over time remotely and seeing how the seasonal changes in different life stages of plants are changing, particularly in response to climate. We have a relatively recent big data and analytics component to our research program, which is really taking advantage of a lot of these large data sets that we've produced, that we've helped others produce, and that are broadly available on the web, and combining them to produce new insights. We're also developing tools to share information through web and mobile applications, and particularly through cell phones, be able to deliver site-specific information that takes advantage of this great big source of data to people anywhere in the world. This is the Land Potential Knowledge System program that you may be familiar with. We also have a long-term partnership with the Asombro Institute for Science Education, and a lot of the inquiry-based programs that they've developed are ultimately based on data that have been gathered here at the Jornada Experimental Range. Their innovative approaches that they've developed are being adopted nationwide. I think the Desert Data Jam is now in 10 or more states across the United States, which is a great program that actually gets students involved in the analysis and the presentation of these data. We also house the USDA Southwest Climate Hub, and this is a group of folks that are based at the Jornada that have a responsibility across the Southwest for developing and delivering options for climate adaptation. And at that website below, you can get a lot of information about the program, and they're going to have a station in the afternoon where they'll talk about their work. So our focus today is going to be on the long-term Agro-Ecosystem Research Network. The LTAR program has been a great benefit to us, and also I think will be to you. This is a program where 18 different research sites representing different agro-ecosystems across the United States are conducting coordinated research with the goal of developing agricultural systems with greater productivity, cost efficiency, and reduced environmental impacts. And this is a map of the different kinds of systems and their locations across the United States. One of the goals is to understand and communicate trade-offs that are inherent to these different production systems, and where those trade-offs are evaluated with respect to a variety of types of indicators, including biophysical indicators, agricultural production, environmental variables, as well as societal variables, represented often in these spider diagrams where you're looking at how two different production systems, which are shown in two different colors there, vary in the magnitude of these different indicators on different axes that represent altogether production, societal variables, as well as environmental variables of interest. FFA students, they are going to take on a lot of what we're taking on with our research, which is to evaluate the trade-offs associated with a criollo-based production system that you'll hear about compared to other production systems. So why is network research such as LTAR useful? Why not just do your work at a site, and why do we need to coordinate with other sites and with international networks? And so that's sort of the idea of the whole program involving all 18 sites. The focus of our LTAR site is on beef production and land stewardship in southwestern ecosystems. And we have three elements to that program: the Raramuri Criollo, and of course it's not new, it's very old. It's much older than our other cattle biotypes, but it's new to you. and that's what matters. But it's also a new type of production system for the Southwest. Restoration of grasslands where they have been lost, and the development of precision technologies and information to decrease ranching costs and increase management effectiveness. We also are fortunate to be able to join a new project that's funded by the USDA National Institute for Food and Agriculture, entitled The Novel Strategies to Increase Sustainability of Beef Production Systems in the Western United States. That was recently funded in July this year. Many of you, I welcome you here on behalf of that project. And it's being led by Andres Sibils from New Mexico State University and being co-led by Sherry Spiegel from the Jornada. This project involves scientists, producers, and educators from across the U.S. and is a very exciting development in our collective programs.